What is up, Who Dat Nation? Welcome inside a very first rewatch edition of the Straight Up Saints podcast. The preseason is officially in the books for the New Orleans Saints. They're making their roster cuts this week. They're also going to decide who's going to be their starting quarterback. And as we get closer to week one against the Arizona Cardinals, which is on September 7th in the Superdome, can't wait for that one. I want to go back and look at the Denver Broncos game that the New Orleans Saints had, their preseason finale, and see what kind of went right, what went wrong. Pulling up a couple of plays, not going to be an in-depth, complete film breakdown. That said, we do have on the channel. Please check it out. Jaden did exceptional work on Spencer Rattler and his final preseason start of the year. Some really, really good stuff. Please go check that out on the channel, guys, and show him some love. We're going to go through a couple plays here and there. We'll have some Spencer Rattler, some Tyler Shough. We'll also focus on some other players, Pete Werner, Godshaw. Want to look at some guys that I think can swing the pendulum of this season in the Saints direction. So let's get this thing started. Let's get this thing started with Spencer Rattler, which I think is quite fitting. So we're going to jump into it. This is probably the play, in my opinion, that can swing a game for the New Orleans Saints, swing the stat line. You see the ball fake there, goes to Rashid Shaheed, ends up throwing behind him. I think this play right here, I'm going to let it run, and then we'll go back and look at it again. I think this is the one that Spencer Rattler, if you got to say, hey, can you have one throwback this preseason? It'd have to be this one. The ball fake works perfectly well. You see those second-level defenders for Denver move up, and he just throws behind Shaheed. So I'm going to go back and watch this one again and show you guys, for me, why this makes all the difference. You know, coaches might see this, and obviously you don't want Rattler to be inconsistent on a throw like this, but this throw, if it's made, we're talking probably differently about the way Rattler played in the preseason finale, and we're maybe saying, oh, he outright won the job, as opposed to just being named the winner if he ends up being the QB1 for the Saints. So right here, look where that ball is. It's behind Rashid Shaheed, okay? If that ball hits Rashid Shaheed in stride, I think it ends up being a touchdown, genuinely, because you have Chris Olave taking a defender with him around let's say, around the 20-ish, okay? I don't think that linebacker over the middle by the 30 is going to be able to catch up to Rashid Shaheed. I think that's just me using my brain there. I just don't think that's going to happen. Shaheed's too fast. And you got Brandon Cooks towards the bottom of your screen as well. The odds of Shaheed being stopped in that situation, in my opinion, are very, very minimal. And I think for Rattler, again, you look at his numbers, you're like, all right, 5 of 8, not a bad performance. If he hits this pass, we're talking about something completely different. We're talking about him pushing 100 yards. We're talking about him having a touchdown drive. Just really frustrating here. Just look at the space that there would have been for Shaheed. Because Olave is going to clear out some traffic. Cooks is obviously clearing out some traffic. It's really maybe one man to beat, because I don't think that linebacker's getting near him. So that was one play to me that kind of stuck out for the Saints. Let's keep it rolling here. This is one positive for the defense. The Saints' run defense has been absolutely just bludgeoned this preseason when it's the second and third string guys. And if there's one guy that's really going to change everything for the New Orleans Saints, it's Devon Godshaw. Godshaw was brought in to be that run stuffer for the Saints. And I think, quite frankly, he will end up being that dude. So watch this play right here. Not only does Godshaw do an excellent job of kind of holding his own and containing the runner, pushing him to the middle. This fucking guy, okay, he does the first job and then also does the second job too, man. It's absolutely insane. And again, the difference in the run defense for the New Orleans Saints when the first team went off the field was astounding. You went from not really giving up much in the ground to getting gashed in the ground game. And I look, it's scary to say, if there's like a list of 5 to 7 players that are going to dictate the New Orleans Saints season based on their health, Godshaw might be in that group, because his ability to just be an excellent run stuffer is unmatched. I mean, right there alone, he's done his job. He's forcing him inside. And then he still cleans up on aisle 12 over here. And for me, it's just nice to see, because we really watched this run defense get butchered the last couple of years. Now, this is a player, I talk about guys that need to be healthy, guys that need to step up. Pete Werner. I was rewatching the game on Monday afternoon, and I was like, man, his sideline to sideline speed looked pretty great. And I don't want to say an apologist, but I defend Pete Werner more than most. I think that Pete Werner is a solid football player who has taken I don't want to say bad rap, but has definitely taken his share of criticism over the last couple seasons. And I still think there's a really good football player in here. I'm going to let this play kind of unfold. Pay attention to Pete Werner on your screen. And, man, this is just one of those type of plays. If we could see this on a consistent basis, man, it would bring me joy. Because he's looking like a heat-seeking missile there right across next to Demario Davis. Great play recognition. And just go, you see ball, go get ball. And I think that for me, I think Pete Werner is in that class of guys that need to step up. And it's also worth noting, the Saints have a really good linebacker room right now from a depth perspective. One that I really didn't expect to say. Stutzman looked really good in camp. The only linebacker I thought didn't step up was maybe DeMarco Jackson. We had Jalen Ford step up this preseason. Stallbird looked really great on special teams, also looked pretty good on defense as well. But just watch Pete Werner again. It's plays like this that you're going to need on a consistent basis. Doesn't have to be an all-pro linebacker, but if Pete Werner could go out there and give the Saints I don't want to say competent, at least above average guy next to DeMario, that'd be huge for this team. And I think he could do it. They paid Pete last year. They paid him the money. They know what he's capable of. So we'll see if Pete can do it. I'll let this run one more time because I'm impressed, man. That sideline to sideline speed is quite impressive there. So shout out to Pete Werner. I thought he really popped off. This is Tyler Shough on the rushing touchdown here. We're going to let this play out in full, and then we'll go back to it. I think this is one of the many reasons we're going to see Shough at some point this year, quickly. Might even be week 1. We'll see what happens. But the added element of having a quarterback who give you 4.6 speed is it's quite a luxury in this league. But you talk about reading it perfectly. I think that's exactly what we saw with Shough. And I think that's one of the things that Kellen Moore values. Remember, Kellen Moore really, really likes having mobile quarterbacks. So Shough here is going to read the defender crashing in. The minute they're kind of leaking towards Devin Neal, he pulls and he takes off, and obviously that's an easy foot race that he's going to win. I want to see more of that. We haven't really seen that for Saints offense. A lot of the league is moving towards mobile quarterbacks. The Saints haven't really had that. I mean, last year they had Derek Carr. Well, I don't know if I'm going to say statue, but not exactly a runner. Jameis Winston, not exactly a runner. Taysom Hill is, but Taysom Hill isn't exactly playing quarterback for the Saints the last couple of years, outside of some spot starts here and there. So watch here again. This, to me, is, if you're looking for reasons to be excited about Tyler Shough, this would be one of the reasons. I do think his athleticism is sneaky good right there. As soon as that pass rusher crashes down a little bit, he's leaving. And it's done right there. Right there, the play's over. It's a touchdown. So I think that's something that Kellen Moore is going to value. This is another play, to me, that Kellen Moore might value. We'll see. I sure as hell think it's impressive. And it might be a kind of Jameis Winston-esque play. But I think it's the type of stuff that Tyler Shough needs to do on a more consistent basis to separate himself from a guy like Spencer Rattler. But I think this is the type of play that you can say either is scary for Shough or quite thrilling. I'm kind of in the camp where I think it's thrilling. Let's go back and watch this one more time. Because it's twofold, right? Takes a snap. Right tackle's getting absolutely beat right there. He's right in front of his face. I like that he's spinning out. Spinning out of pressure is good. Okay? We know Tyler Shough has not handled pressure great in his career. Now you got another defender right about, in harm's way for Shough. Creates a little separation with a little bit of a sidestep. Fires it to Devin Neal. And then Devin Neal takes a play that could have been a sack for a very positive game. And that, to me, is another reason that you kind of like Shough, those off-script plays. Now, I would say you could also worry about how he'll handle pressure. But right here, to take a play that looks like it's about to be a 5-6 yard loss, spin out of traffic, now you got more danger, and fire it to Devin Neal, and Devin Neal goes and gets you a first down, you got to be impressed by that. You got to. Now, do I think that play is not exactly a recipe for success? Yeah, I don't know if you're exactly going to be able to spin out of defenders and kind of throw what seems to be a very hurried pass to Devin Neal and get away with it. But, I like it. This, to me, was this is the same drive, the 12-play, 77-yard touchdown drive, right before the rushing touchdown. This is where another reason why I was so impressed with Shough. Checks out of the initial play. And then right here, you're going to get Cedrick Wilson on what should be a touchdown. Cedrick Wilson just decides, hey, I'm not in the mood to catch the ball today. Right here. Traffic's cleared out. Look where that hits him in the hands. There is no way he's not getting 6. Okay? Because your receiver at the bottom of the screen's clearing out traffic. Got another guy clearing out traffic. It should be the easiest of touchdowns. But, man, do you love to see Shough at the line of scrimmage checking out of what they have. And I think for me, that is something that you want to see. Because remember, he's an older rookie. He's not a 22-year-old quarterback coming in. The guy's going to be 27 later this year. Reading the defense well. And he read the blitz, which is perfect, by the way. I thought one of the knocks on Shough in the second preseason game, I don't know if he was reading the blitz well. He reads it there, so he knows where he's got to get the ball out to, which is Cedrick Wilson on this out. Cedrick Wilson just doesn't catch the football. It's unfortunate, but, it is a play that you got to be excited about. And then this right here, we're going to go back to the first quarter just because I'm a Kendre Miller hype beast. Frankly, that's the only reason. I think for the Saints, there's that added juice to Kendre's game. But again, this is just good blocking more than it is Kendre doing anything special. But I think for New Orleans, it is imperative that if Kendre Miller is going to be healthy, you get him enough touches this year. Genuinely. Because I love Alvin. Alvin has proven he can be a workhorse. You got to make sure that you keep him healthy. I also, and I've been screaming this for the last 2 years, so fuck it, I'll scream it again. You got to find a way to make him be a more consistent threat in the passing game. Because he's too good of a receiver not to be. And I think one way you can do that is maybe having 2 backs on the field sometimes. I think making sure Kendre Miller takes some of the workload off of Alvin as a runner, maybe opens him up as a receiver a little bit. So we'll see. Now that play, again, this one is way more run blocking than it is. I also believe this was on 3rd down. So you're not exactly, as a defense, all that worried about the run. But I think Kendre just got the juice, man. I think he just got the juice. So, again, I think for New Orleans, I look over Sunday's preseason game. Saturday's, excuse me. Gottschall's got to step up. He's got to be healthy, and I think if he's healthy, he will step up. I think Pete Werner could potentially have a bounce-back season. I'd love to see him have it. I think he looks really, really good right now, though. Shough, Rattler, who's going to start? That hasn't been named yet. I'd imagine they'll come tomorrow. Roster cuts are this Tuesday. We've already had some big ones. Jake Haener cut. Isaiah Foskey cut. Good riddance. And I think for New Orleans, once you figure out who's your starting quarterback, you go from there. If it is Shough, though, there are certain plays that we looked at before. We can go back to them that I think could be the separating factor for stuff like that. Plays like this, to have that kind of run option available is huge. If the Saints are going to go to RPOs a little bit, advantage Shough. If you want a little bit more off script, yet again, advantage Shough. So we'll see. I've still been under the belief that I think they might start Rattler for the first couple weeks and then go to Shough. But plays like this are the reason why at some point you want to see him get in there. And you want to see what Kellen Moore's offense is going to look like. Because there is some excitement to his game. Again, nowhere close to a perfect prospect. Don't even know if he's starting caliber in the NFL. But you can't tell me that you see plays like this and not say, okay, I want to see what this guy can do regular season, full menu of plays from Kellen Moore at his disposal, and kind of go from there. So we'll see. But I think, look, this play right there, it's fun. It looks hilarious. It looks like something we'd see Jameis do. But, man, it freaking works. It freaking works. So we'll see what's going to happen, guys, if we get closer to week 1. Saints obviously have to name their starting quarterback, as I mentioned. We'll be here to cover it regardless of who's the starter. Rattler, Shough. You know how I feel about it. I think they should go with Shough for the whole season. I have no issue, though, if they start Rattler, see how Rattler plays, and then eventually go to Shough if things don't go out well. Either way, I'll be rooting hard for whoever gets the job. I think both these guys have their pros and cons, obviously. Do I think either one's going to be the franchise guy? Maybe not. Am I excited for this season to start? You bet your ass. So we'll see what happens here. Let me know, guys, in the comment section below which players do you think, because I mentioned before, guys like Devon Godshaw that have to step up this year. If you had to name 3 players for the New Orleans Saints outside of quarterback, that need to step up this year, who would be your 3? I'm so curious to know. Let us know in the comment section below. Let us know if you want us to do more of this as well, especially when the regular season starts. It'll probably be easier to look at the turning points in the game, and preseason's a little bit more difficult. You're seeing a lot of guys out there that aren't going to play significant snaps, so you have less of a sample size to work with. But let us know. We'll do more rewatch parties with you guys, and maybe we'll go through a longer haul of the game. So as always, guys, let us know in the comment section below. We want to make sure we keep you guys satisfied with our content here. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to Boot Crew Media to get more from the Straight Up Saints podcast, the destination for the Who Dat Nation.